Hey, folks, and welcome to another episode of Yes and Ask Me, a show based out of Bear Stage here in San Antonio, Texas, where I get to pick the brains of some of the members of the San Antonio improv community. Today's show is called Student Perspectives. I have three fantastic students who have been participating in the Bear Stage curriculum, in particular to get their perspective on what they think about improv. I also have an educator, a Bear Stage teacher here to give his perspective on students as well. So let me go ahead and bring out these students. My first is Dante Garcia. Dante, you want to join us? Dante?
Sorry.
No problem, man. Hey, Dante. First of all, thank you for joining us on the show. And can you give us a little bit of background as to how long you've been doing improv?
It's going to be a year next month-ish.
Yeah, how many classes have you taken, man?
3.
3 classes. All right. Hey, cool. All right. My next guest, Mia Valdez. Mia, would you please join us? Hey, Mia, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. First of all, thank you again for joining us on the show. Mia, how long have you been doing improv and how many classes have you taken?
So I've actually only taken one formal improv class ever in my life, but I did a ragtag weird sort of improv in college for 3 years.
Okay, all right, excellent, perfect. Kristin Colyer, can you please join us on the show?
Hello.
Hey, Kristin, can you give us some background as to how long you've been doing improv?
Yes, I've been doing improv for about a year, and I've taken 3 classes at Bear Stage.
Okay, 3 classes at Bear Stage and doing improv about a year. Okay, good deal. Clint Taylor, would you please jump in?
Here I am.
All right, so Clint, you're a little different than the rest of the panelists today. I'm treating you like my co-host, buddy. I don't have my usual co-host here, Tina, today. So you're serving that role. And Clint, I've known you for a while, man, and I know that you've taken all 6 classes at Bear Stage. That's as high as you can go at Bear Stage. And you are also one of the level 1 teachers, is that correct?
Yes. And I think this is an interesting mix of people where me and you have both taken all the classes, but we're not that far removed from being new ourselves.
Yeah. Oh no, so you're absolutely right about that. Like you and we're still kind of newbies in improv. But I was talking to Tina Jackson, the owner of Bear Stage, and we were discussing how because the San Antonio improv community is so new, it's so young, that all of us newbies get so much time on the actual stage. It's a privilege that we don't quite realize that we have. If you go or consider the bigger improv communities, certainly the big ones like Chicago or LA or New York, but also even here in Texas, Austin or Dallas, there are so many improvisers in these areas that there just aren't that many opportunities to perform on the weekends like we have all the time. But I want to go ahead and jump into getting into these improv minds right here. Mia, I want to start with you. You said you did a little bit of some improv-ish stuff in college, and you've taken 1 class at Bear Stage. Would you care to explain to us why you decided to take that class at Bear?
Okay, so I had graduated from college and I was looking for a job. My little brother at the time played baseball at UIW, and it is very hard for me to sit and watch baseball games. So I drove to this theater, I think it's Alamo Theater, and there's a comedy club right there. And I said, if I get a job in San Antonio, I want to do stand-up at that comedy club and then do improv somewhere here in Texas. And then I got to San Antonio, I looked up improv theaters and Bear Stage came up. I went to a few shows and then I loved it. And so I took a class.
Did you enjoy your level 1 class?
I loved it so much. Yeah, for sure.
Who was your level 1 teacher?
That was Clint.
Clint. All right. Excellent. Cool. All right. I want to pick your brain a little bit more about that later, but next I want to get Kristin. Kristin, what's your story? How did you start taking, or what's the reason, the impetus, the momentum behind you taking your first level one class?
So there's a couple of reasons. So one thing is I've always struggled a lot with public speaking in general. So I thought improv would be an idea for that. And then also a few of my friends, my boyfriend, they had been taking classes at Bexar Stage for a little bit. So I went to a bunch of shows, loved watching improv, but was like, I'm too scared to do that. And then there was someone from Florida that came in to teach a workshop at Bear Stage. And Tina said that there was an open spot, someone paid for it, but couldn't make it. And she was like, you can do it. And so I did that and I fell in love with it. It was really amazing. I think because of how collaborative improv is, it was just really fun. And then I was like, I gotta take a class now.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I'm assuming you've been having a good time taking these classes?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great, great. Dante, what's your story, man? How did you jump into improv?
I've always had an interest in doing stand-up and some form of acting. And it was kind of spontaneous when class started, because on that same day, I was really looking for acting classes. And in searching, I found you guys that were starting the day of, and I just said, just do it. And I just signed up that day and showed up.
Wait, let me see if I got that story right. You decided on a single day that you wanted to take improv classes and signed up that day and took classes that day, started that day?
Yeah. I had to do it because I kept putting stuff off like that for like a long time, and I just said, I gotta do it. So I signed up and paid.
Okay, and so earlier you said you've taken 3 classes, so that was your level 1 class. So evidently you must have liked it, and you took another couple classes, right? Is that how the story goes?
Yeah, I took a couple more.
So something I've noticed is that both Mia and Dante mentioned interest in stand-up, and Kristin, you didn't mention interest in stand-up.
No.
Is that true, Kristin? You're not interested in doing stand-up?
No.
And then Mia and Dante, do y'all feel that currently improv is kind of scratching that stand-up itch, or is that still something that you would jump on now?
Yeah, it's caressing it, at least for me.
No, my itch. No, I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna. Improv is really helpful, but there's a difference. For me at least, there's a total difference between like I guess the muscles that you use. Like improv is so collaborative, but stand up, it's like you're really by yourself. Like they might just not like you, and you don't have any friends next to you to be like, it'll be okay. But yeah.
And you want that. You like the collaborative nature of improv, but you also want some responsibility all on your own kind of thing.
For sure. Yes.
Okay, so interesting. So Mia, when you were taking your first your 1 level 1 class, did you have this is actually kind of a personal question, but were there any fears, or did you have trepidation taking this class? Did you have to overcome?
No. No, I didn't. But when I was like starting in stand up, the improv classes really helped because stand up was so intimidating for me. And I was like, have I ever said one thing that's funny ever? And then I go to improv classes, and it's like a good place to sort of come up with material maybe. So improv is definitely like, I don't think I could do stand up without having done improv first.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really
Yeah, I
interesting.
feel the same way.
So okay, Dante, then well then, to give us a little bit of background as to your stand-up experience and how improv has helped you with that.
Well, I've yet to go up on stage, but doing improv has kind of taken away the stage fright. And when I've been up there, most of the time it's been like an adrenaline rush. Like I fucking enjoy being up there. And so now I'm kind of less scared about going back up. And I almost did, and then this whole thing happened.
Yeah. I can totally relate about having improv relieve that fear, because you're up on stage, you're having to think about your decisions, you're having to react right there on stage. Kristin, you mentioned that you joined improv specifically so that you can become a better speaker, a better public speaker. That is exactly why I joined improv, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and actually, so my story is that I was a Toastmaster for several years, and the Toastmasters are that we are. It's a club where you get to practice your public speaking, and it definitely helped me. It's a wonderful group, and I hope that people really consider it if they want to get better at public speaking. But I wanted more. Those are all practiced, planned speeches. And I wanted to do something. I wanted to be able to get better at just, improvised talking up on stage. And so that's why I joined improv. So Kristin, have you noticed an improvement in your public speaking since you joined, or so you started taking classes?
Definitely, especially I used to work as a neurofeedback technician, so we would have marketing events and have to do presentations for different hospitals and different facilities. And so I have to go through a PowerPoint and then talk to people one-on-one about symptoms they're experiencing, if we could help them, that sort of thing. So definitely helped me articulating those things. And then they started having me do demos at the actual clinic, and it was extremely helpful.
So helpful in that it helped you to think on your feet. Is that?
Definitely. And then also it helps you to listen to the person you're speaking to and react properly to that, because improv is essentially what you're doing at the foundation, is listening and reacting to that. And it's really important not to miss any details, because Tina talks about this a lot too, where the audience sees everything. And so you don't want to be aloof while on stage or in a general conversation.
What do you mean? Sure. I want to dig into that just a little bit. Reacting properly to people in real life. What do you mean by that? Reacting properly?
I mean, actually listening to them and reacting to what they're saying, instead of, because I think a lot of times in conversations, someone can say a sentence, you leech onto that, your mind goes on an entire pattern, and then you miss the other 3 sentences they said. And when you respond to them, you're missing the entire point of what they were trying to get from you.
Dante, Mia, Kristin was talking about how she is applying improv outside of class and outside of the stage. Have y'all noticed that you can pull improv out of the stage? Or I think a perfectly valid answer is no, I do improv only on stage.
To sound stupid, I honestly I feel like I tried always to do improv like outside in the world, like in just regular conversations with people. And so having like a stage or a place where you're supposed to do that is really fun. It's definitely something I've been searching for a long time. I think when you try to, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I love improv and I needed a place to do it. So Bear Stage was like a great place to be. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great answer, Dante. How would you answer that question?
And applying it to real life, none. Like, it's hard to practice that muscle, at least for me. So that's why I go, or I try to go, or did a few times a week, because I had so much leeway in doing the stuff that you guys taught. I didn't really find an avenue to do it like in real life, because in real life I'm already kind of like, you guys probably haven't seen it, but I'm already pretty blunt, something too honest. I'm a huge joker already. Like, I need to cool it down sometimes. So the improv stuff is like just there.
That's interesting. Okay, so first of all, I love how hanging out at Bear Stage with different students, with performers, I get to hear the reasons why individuals decided to take improv classes, and we're all coming from different backgrounds, different careers. We're all different ages. And so far I'm hearing joining improv because your friends are doing improv, because you love watching it on stage, because you want to become a better public speaker. Mia, it sounds to me like you were already doing improv in your like everyday life, bits and pieces before you even started doing improv, but you wanted a way to actually express it, to flex that muscle. Dante, it sounds an awful lot like you just wanted an avenue to flex that muscle because you didn't feel like you were able to do it in your real life. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it.
Okay, this is interesting. Next, what I want to know is, what advice would you give somebody who's thinking about taking an improv class? So, Kristin, that's going to you. If somebody went up to you and said, you know, I'm thinking about taking improv right now, but I'm on the fence, what would you tell this person?
That's a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
advice for actually making good scenes, essentially, is what they wait until level 2 to tell you, which is focus on the relationship, and everything's easy from there. So I think that takes a lot of the nervousness out of it, is that you are working with a team. And I was very fortunate because in my level 1, everyone was a super supportive player, and having that whole perspective makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Oh, okay, nice. Kristin, thank you. Mia, if somebody asked you that question, how would you answer it?
I would say it's a lot of fun. Don't wait to do it. A lot of what works in improv for me is just not thinking about something for too long. So if you're looking to jump in, just go ahead and do it. You know, don't psych yourself out.
Dante, so that seems like some advice that you might give too, because you said you put it off for a while, and then you just finally, like, you know, bit the bullet and decided to just sign up and go for classes that first day. Was there a reason, by the way, why you held off so long? Was it specifically because of improv, or was there other stuff going on in your life that was preventing you from taking classes?
I didn't really know what I was doing in my life prior, and I always tried to find that missing piece. And I knew it had something to do with performance and maybe comedy. And I've always done voices, so, you know, I kind of wanted to use that muscle and kind of work it out. So, and I've always procrastinated in doing something. So this is the first something that I've actually done.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing about all of you is I really enjoy watching all of you perform, and you all have very unique styles. And I think you have done a very good job about finding your voice on stage. And that's something that just takes time to do, is to find your voice. And it takes everybody a different amount of time. And I think y'all are some of our quicker students to find ways to express who you are on stage. Speaking specifically to Dante, seeing your growth from being like a very bright improviser, but shy. And then it's just like something clicked and you lost all hesitation. Was there a lesson that you learned that was there a moment for you that you noticed that click?
Oh crap, I don't know. Like, I think it helped just watching other people in my level just kind of go at it, like give it their all. Like Kristin was one of them. Like, and I think I mentioned this before to her, that there were times where like I was jealous of her because she kind of went all out like at practice, and I was like, I was really jealous. I was like, God, son of a bitch, that should be me. And so, and so she's one of the people that I've learned alongside that kind of gave me that push.
That's an awesome compliment for Kristin, because I know because Kristin was saying that she was afraid to even do improv at first. You had to get the free workshop to lure you in.
Really good Southern accent. That's pretty dead on.
Yeah, the workshop was really nice too, because the whole point of it was essentially focusing on having fun, and whatever you think your 10 is, crank it up like 15 more, essentially. And that's what makes improv so fun, is like, and Dante has the best characters, and I don't know how he comes up with them, but his voices, like the mannerisms, like he's amazing. And so it is really cool to see his evolution as a player and becoming more comfortable on stage, because everyone should see Dante perform.
I will say I've only seen Dante perform like at a few of our rehearsals, but his characters, they feel like so lived in, if that makes sense. Like they've seen some shit and they're real.
Dante's characters have seen some shit. Actually, seeing Dante perform several times, Mia, I have to completely agree with you. Dante seems to has a natural talent for developing and showing these characters up on stage. And it's wonderful, Dante, that you have the opportunity to do that at Bexar Stage while taking classes and also performing on the weekend.
Yeah, I think it all comes from me bottling that stuff up, and then I got this avenue where it just kind of just sprays everywhere.
One of the instructors at Bexar Stage, Lex Simpson, when I asked him his background story as to why he decided to join improv, I remember him saying that he felt that he was weird. He was a weird guy who would, like think about things in different voices and characters, whatever. And when he finally discovered improv, it was a place that he could be surrounded by other people that were just as weird as him, where he could be that kind of weird around people and up on stage, and it was perfectly acceptable. So Mia, you've been doing improv for you just took that one class. Why have you stuck around? What is it about the improv community that keeps you connected to it?
So I do have sort of like professional goals with improv, so that's part of the reason why I'm here. The community that I'm in, though, I really appreciate, because I know they all have sort of professional backgrounds. I know Tina, especially, just from learning from these Rick chats.
I love that.
So part of that, like, not gonna say like hoping to foster some sort of mentorship there, but just it's a great place to learn from the way that other players are learning, if that makes sense, like to understand their approach to it, so that when or if I decide to like make a move to a more professional improv community or city, I have a lot of, I guess, tool or just, I don't know, chess pieces. Like I know a lot more about other people's styles of improv, and I can draw from that.
Yeah.
Mia, you've been at improv for a while. 3 years doing the ragtag, as you described, improv in college. What's the difference, or is there something that you've learned from this school of improv that is new or special to you from your previous improv experience?
I think there's a technical element to what I've learned here that I wouldn't have gotten with those people, because really it was a group of people who had basically heard the word improv and like that was all they knew about it. But like I learned from one of these talks actually that it was like what we were doing, it was long form, but it was also like there were written parts, like there were scenes where we had predetermined this is what's going to happen in that scene. And I loved that so much. I don't know if there's anything I've learned. I think what I've gained mostly here in the past like 3 months is experience, and that's been really fun, and community. Mm-hmm. That's
cool. Dante, so you jumped into improv on a whim, it sounds like. Even though you'd planned for it for a while, you just really just like bit the bullet, jumped right in. Continue taking classes. What would you say about the improv community here in San Antonio?
It's really nice. It's welcoming. I mean, I'm still here, so y'all are doing something right to, keep me coming.
have you met other people in the San Antonio improv community that share many of your same goals or just creative ideas?
Yeah, that'll be Giancarlos and Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys, I definitely we all share kind of similar goals because me and Jean also wanted to get into stand up, and we had material, and then Christian also has some projects that he wants to do, and they're almost in line with what I want to do.
What are the goals?
Start my own thing online, sort of. I have several things up in the air. It's kind of hard to explain.
So I totally get that. I worked in a STEM field, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and my daily life, my 8 to 5 job during the day is very, very stuffy, very analytical. And so one of the cool benefits about being part of a creative community, like Dante was referring to earlier, is that I get to surround myself with people that are also creative. And I can share these ideas with them, and I can just bouncing off, stuff that's going through my mind. And I'll know that because they're also fellow creatives, they'll be able to give me some insight. They can add to what I have in my head. Maybe we can even collaborate on something. It's so, I referred to this in a previous show, that you're surrounded by people that are expressing to you, I want to know what you have to say. And I think that's a wonderful community. But Clint, I want to know your story now that we're towards the end of the show. How did you decide to join or take improv classes at Bexar Stage?
I think I was more similar to kind of a mixture of everybody, actually, where I promised myself after I saw my first improv show that I was going to take an improv class as soon as I had the opportunity. And then the opportunity presented itself because I learned about Bexar Stage, but I was still nervous to start taking improv. And another one of the players in the community essentially used salesman's tactics to get me to sign up. And it worked. And I loved it. But yeah, I think I needed both. Like I was committed to learning, but also I needed that special push to get me to cross the door into classes. And one of the reasons I wanted to take improv was to improve my writing, or I thought of it as a tool to destroy writer's block. Because every idea is correct and you shouldn't second guess your choices. And I thought that would fix that. It didn't, but what I got out of it, I think, is more powerful, and that's the concept of yes and. To the point that if people at work don't use yes and come from a very like devil's advocate or but perspective, I get way more annoyed than if I ever had learned about improv in the first place. But it's also improved my business relations in terms of being more productive and being more creative.
Okay, interesting. So, but I like that you mentioned that there was a certain, you needed that final push to take classes. So Kristin, this question is for you. I met you before you began taking classes at Bexar Stage. So what was for you the final push that encouraged you to finally take those classes?
Well, maybe the 50th time Brian told me to take his level 1 class. In conjunction with the workshop, because it was really nice to meet all these improvisers, and it was a really comfortable setting, and I felt very supported on stage. And the way that he focused on just having fun and being creative, like you feel like a child again. It's amazing. And so that's a very addictive thing. And then I was like, okay, I'll pay for a class. I'll do this.
You mentioned like you feel like a child again. In a previous show, we talked about how taking your first taking improv classes in general, primarily maybe in your level 1 class, but further on as well, that we often have to unlearn things that we learned as adults.
Yeah.
We have to go back to just like pretending, you know, when we're kids, to just use your imagination.
Yeah.
Folks, that is. Oh, Clint, go on.
Do I have time for one more?
Yes, go do it.
Okay,
sure.
cool. This one is just because y'all are new and y'all are still kind of discovering how to do improv. And so something I know when I started is I was experimenting with all sorts of pre-show rituals and superstitions. Do y'all have any rituals or like beliefs you have of things you got to do before a show to have a good show?
I have one. This kind of formed, I did it before Jean, but it's been magnifying with Jean Carlos. Whenever we're in like the green room before our show, we always do like warm up lunges with each other. We like lunge in with a high five and we do like 20 or 30 reps and then we're ready. So.
Before my level 1 like graduation show, I was more nervous than I had ever been, and I like got the group together finally, and we all like huddled together, and I did this weird rap that I remember being about like someone's grandpa, and I was like trashing someone's grandfather, and I felt better after that. But usually I just never talk to anyone. I like limit personal conversations before I go on stage.
That was interesting. I remember, because I was your level 1 instructor, usually for level 1 classes, I have to go hype the class up and get everybody to break through that anxiousness. And when I walked in on y'all were just laughing and having a good time and warming up organically.
Yeah.
And I think that was a lot of you actually getting past your anxiety, what you just shared of like you were feeling nervous.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, no, I got to get everybody else on I got to list all the spirits. And so, yeah, that was just a cool thing that I noticed.
That's cool.
Dante, you've had a year. What about your rituals?
I drink a shot of vodka, and then on the way to the Bear Stage, I karaoke the whole way.
And the karaoke, do you karaoke everywhere you go, or is it specifically a pre-show thing?
Yeah, I actually do it everywhere I go, but for the pre-show, it's the shot of vodka, and I go a little harder on the singing on the way to Bear Stage if I'm performing.
That's what you have to do before you stand up.
I love that.
It's not necessarily a ritual, but something I find is helpful before shows. And it's doing a warm-up essentially like zip, zap, zop, because it's so mindless. And I think it kind of calms your nerves down because you're just feeling the energy out and starting to connect with all your scene partners. And I feel like that always improves the show I have. So.
For all of our viewers, if anybody isn't familiar with Zip Zap Zop, it's a very simple, fun game. That's very much a warm-up before performing. Improvisers have lots and lots of simple games that we do before show just to loosen up, loosen the muscles, loosen the brain, and get ourselves in the mood. So, Kristin, along those same lines, my last question for you is, what is your favorite thing about improv?
I think I like that there's no boundaries, like within the universe, essentially, that you can create. That's probably the funnest thing. And you can be as wacky or weird as you want, or as serious and dramatic, and nothing really matters.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely true. And yeah, that's something that I think that we have to keep reinforcing to ourselves to realize that those boundaries aren't there. The boundaries that we see every day in our real life, once we get on stage and start doing improv, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
I love that. Dante, what's your favorite thing about improv?
Similar to what Kristin said, that and I can be all these characters that will not survive a day in real life.
Wait, so the characters that you create are perfect for the stage, but they could never exist in the real world. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they can, but they're undateable. You can't really sit down and have a beer with. Yeah, they're not people you want to really hang with.
You know that just in general, that might be really good advice for creating a stage character. Think of somebody that you would absolutely not want to be around, but put them up on stage so that they can entertain an entire crowd. I love that idea. Mia, can I ask you what your favorite thing about improv is?
I think Kristin really hit the nail on the head. It's just no limit, and I guess you can, yeah, you're not really tied to any rules or restraints. So pretty much the same answer for me.
I love it. I love it. Clint, you've been doing improv for a couple years now. You've been teaching improv. There's definitely probably a lot of things about improv that you do you want to share at least one of those with us?
One of the things I like, you froze for just a second. Is that what you asked?
Yes, exactly. Yes, what you love about improv.
Along what Kristin said, I like that there's no consequences for it. Whether that is a crazy character that you make, there's no consequences for that character, and also there's no real consequences for, I'm going to say it, a bad show, which I really enjoy. The freedom to be creative and try something new with my friends that has the potential to totally fail. And I love that freedom of not having expectations, because it's unscripted, there's no expectations. That's what I like.
I love that. I love the freedom to fail. And I also love, in the previous show, we talked about how mistakes on stage are welcomed. You make mistakes on stage and you turn that. I love it that being an improv community means that you can make mistakes and afterwards you get high fives because of it. You get encouragement because of that. It's a really wonderful community to be part of. Folks, that is the end of our show. Dante, Mia, Kristin, Clint, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your information, for your stories. I genuinely appreciate it. For all of the Twitch viewers, thank you so much for joining live. I love all of these comments and these quotes that you guys are shooting
There's
out.
so many
Those are
good
fantastic.
ones.
No, this is fantastic.
What Groovy Classic learned is to bully grandpas, and you will always have a good show. Thanks to me. Dante, they said that if you make it, they will watch about the sketch show that you got going. And then Kristin, you got a bunch of quotes in here too about the things that you said. I'll find one when as Rick continues.
Oh no, yeah, there's some awesome Rick chats. Got some quotes on here. Good stuff, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining. A few things I want to say is that today's Friday, and that means that we have a show, a tic-tac-toe show at 8 o'clock today. So you guys got a little bit of space. Go to your kitchen, make yourself some food. Come back, Twitch feed, and at 8 o'clock we're going to have a tic-tac-toe show, which is a sort of an improvised game show that I think you all will certainly enjoy. I also want to say that very soon, coming up in June, Bexar Stage is going to start doing stand-up classes, sketch classes, improv classes, and voiceover classes. If you want to learn more, please go to bexarstage.com. We're going to have a lot of stuff offering for you guys for later on in the summer. One more thing I want to say. And that's that things are banana pants crazy out in the real world right now. They seem to be getting a little bit more normal. We'll see. But a lot of small businesses are hurting right now. If you liked what you saw today, if you like tic-tac-toe, which will happen at 8 o'clock today, if you like improv, do some research, go online, find local theaters, local live theaters, improv theaters in your community, and go to their website and see if there's a way that you can support them. If you're in San Antonio, if you've been to Bexar Stage, if you like what you saw today, go to bearstage.com, learn about these classes that we're about to offer, and if you're able to, hit that donate button that's right on the front page. Folks, thank you everyone who joined us today. I appreciate that, and I hope that I can see you next week. All right, guys. Bye-bye.